Welcome, everyone, once again to our second Evil Clone podcast. And true to our word, it has been a while, but we will be discussing the pilot for the new Supergirl TV series.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we have watched this twice now. Once at a friend's house and once at Comic-Con. And I really don't want to watch this pilot anymore because I have some issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enough of an optimist that I could see this leading to a pretty decent superhero show, but this pilot this show has a lot of things to work through, a lot of issues to work through in order to get to that point.
So let's actually start with the things that we liked about the pilot.
Okay, so for one, I like in the opening that the two ships, Superman ship and Kara ship, took off from the same hangar bay. I sort of like that was sort of a nifty little idea that never quite occurred to me, and a little detail, but I liked it.
Melissa Benoist
she's
as
great.
Kara is very well cast.
She's great.
She's
fine.
I think proved to be the thing that makes this show work overall. The special effects are quite good.
Yeah.
The flying, they finally managed to make the flying scenes look reasonably good for a TV show. You watch some of the stuff on Lois and Clark. A lot of it looks kind of laughable now.
Lois and Clark, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, maybe on the last episode, but Lois and Clark does not hold up at all.
Yeah.
It was maybe an okay show first time, but if it was on today, it would get laughed off of the network before the initial episode order, which I hope does not happen to this show because there's potential here. And also, as far as things that I like seeing the publicity that the show is generating.
Yeah.
And how they're kind of going around to, like, I don't know, Girl Scout troops or something, and, showing them the pilot, that kind of thing. And, Melissa Benoist in costume, saying hi to fans and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's very cool.
Yeah.
And also, one thing I noticed is that they finally acknowledged that the pop culture knowledge of Superman is big enough that they don't have to explain every last thing. They don't have to explain what all of her superpowers are. We kind of know what her superpowers are. At one point, she breaks out her heat vision, and they never explain that she can do this. But it's not a surprise.
Yeah,
we know Superman has heat vision. We know Supergirl has heat vision.
Yeah.
So, bam, there it is.
Okay, so some of the things, let's start right off. At the opening, when they recap the origin, we're watching the second time, I couldn't help feeling like, I wish we weren't seeing this. I actually wish that she could just tell us about it, and we could, imagine it in our own heads way better than they've got it here.
So in this case, you would rather they told us and didn't show us.
Well, on that note, they could at least ditch the voiceover and just maybe show us a few quick flashes and maybe even dole out the origin clips over the course of the episode.
Maybe. I mean, there's not that many origin clips. It's about... efficiently, it's about 3 minutes of stuff, and then we cut to the presumed present day where she's a working girl at the office.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just like opening right there, and then we sort of we'll learn about it from there. I don't know. Then we got I kind of needed that now Cat Grant runs her own office.
Yeah, Cat Grant in the comics is another employee at the Daily Planet. She's generally the gossip columnist.
Yeah.
She handles celebrity stuff. Now they've turned her into Supergirl's boss.
They turned her into a female J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Basically.
The shades of like Miranda Priestley and Devil Wears Prada in there.
Exactly.
So which is another sticking point of this show.
Yeah. I mean, she does get some of the best lines, like that crack about I don't have to see my therapist if I'm not seeing my mother. That always gets a big laugh from the audience.
Yeah. Now the other problem is I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't really like Callista Flockhart. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just don't like looking at her. But there's something about all of her scenes, except that line that you just mentioned was very good. There's something about all of her scenes that are just off-putting. And not like off-putting in the way the character is supposed to be, where we're, the way she, like you said, the female J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, one of the things that I've noticed over the years about Superman stories in particular is that even when you're not specifically doing the origin story, you still kind of have to cover the origin. You still have to kind of like conceptualize certain aspects of it. How did Krypton blow up?
It's been told and retold so many times.
How did Krypton blow up? What does the spaceship look like? Does Lois know a secret? Yeah. What kind of position is Lex in? That kind of thing. So there's some of that here as well.
And also in this case, how long has Superman been on the job before Supergirl ship showed up? The answer in this case is 12 goddamn years.
Right. And I noticed that on the promos for the show, they say that she's for the past 24 years she's been not doing anything. Which is like no. It's been like I don't know, about 10 years or something.
I think it's been about another 10 years. I think about another 12 years she's been living on Earth.
Right.
Being raised by
that's how long she's been not doing the superhero thing.
Yeah.
Which
not 24 years.
Yeah.
Maybe she's supposed to be 24 years old. It's
she's
a little...
supposed to be 24 here.
Yeah.
But that's not how long she's, been outside of the...
Yeah, been keeping a low profile.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another kind of big sticking point for me with this whole premise. It's like, okay, they wanted her to be this young adult. All right. But then they had to contrive a reason for her to only now become Supergirl.
Yeah.
And they keep saying like, Clark is already Superman and the world doesn't need another hero, which is
bullshit.
Which is dumb.
Yeah. Because the world always needs another hero. I've read the Justice League.
And she can fly. She can bench press a continent.
The world's a big place.
Why would you not find an excuse to do those things?
Yeah.
I remember when McCad Brooks shows up and then we find out that he is Jimmy Olsen or James Olsen, and everybody cracked up because
now
Jimmy Olsen is not a hunk.
He's not a 6'4" stud.
Yeah.
It's not that he's black. It's not that. It is not that at all. But like, if they cast, say, Donald Glover in the role, it would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, that's Jimmy. I immediately accept that is Jimmy Olsen, without question.
But you cast this guy. This guy was on a show called Necessary Roughness, where he played a star quarterback. It's saying, okay, this is our Jimmy now. That's weird.
Yeah.
Now, I think the biggest problem with the pilot, which I hope that the show can overcome, is what happens a lot when you try to make... You see this a lot in any of the big superhero movies with female protagonists, of which there are very few, and they are all terrible. Presumably have
not all terrible,
well.
But many of the ones that keep coming up are terrible.
Yeah. Is that, okay, because we have a female protagonist in this superhero story, everything has to be, we can only have her engage in certain female-centric type of stories, which kind of messes the whole thing up. So now part of that is they put special emphasis on all of the, not just on Kara, but of all the other women in her life. When we meet the Danverses, who are played in an actually delicious cameo by Helen Slater and Dean Cain, only Helen Slater has a line. Dean Cain just stands there.
Yeah.
When we in the scene before that, when we meet her Kryptonian parents, does her dad say anything?
I think so, but looks like we're mostly gonna be hearing from her mom.
Yeah, mostly from her mom. When she's talking to the hologram, it's only of her mom. And when they reference her parentage, they call her daughter of Allura, not daughter of Zor-El.
Okay.
Like, okay, is Krypton matrilinear or patrilinear?
I don't know.
And of course, they gave her, a big sister, a human big sister,
which is an interesting new angle.
They gave her a female boss.
Try to give this big female supporting cast.
Yeah. There's a couple guys in there too. We'll talk about them in a minute.
Remember, one of the things that is always a tricky balance for these superhero shows to maintain is okay, especially with Superman, are there other superheroes in this world? So far, it seems to be that it's just Superman and now Supergirl.
Yeah, and the notion that that Superman's been operating for the better part of 2 decades and there's no Justice League is really weird to me. It's like, come on, what the I mean, how long do you in the comics when Supergirl was introduced in modern times? How long was? I mean, of course, after New 52, it's probably within 5 years.
Yeah, it's...
but like before that, it was probably within 10 years. It's usually within 10 years.
Yeah. We got the big action sequence where she saves the plane, which
that was
looks
pretty
great.
good. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Trying to fly because she hasn't flown in a while for some reason.
Yeah, like...
Not even to beat traffic? Come on.
Yeah, it's another thing that's kind of hard to swallow is the notion that she is not confident about using her powers because she has made an effort to not use them for so long. It's like, why would you not use them ever?
Yeah. So she's saving the plane, which her sister is on. Now, we find out that this is because, like, bad guys were actually trying to get her.
It's all tied together somehow.
Yeah, but still, just like we mentioned in Superman Returns, she didn't need to be on the plane for Kara to want to save the plane.
Yeah. And it just need to be on the plane for there to be suspense for her to save the plane. You know, it doesn't need, you know, if she's going to stop big disasters, you don't need that personal angle to it.
Yeah. That's kind of what being a superhero is about. So, yeah, it looks cool, but there's this weird thing that they keep doing. Another of this trend among superhero TV shows, especially like adaptations of the big ones, is that they can't really do the big A-list heroes. They can't do Superman and Batman or X-Men or Spider-Man, so they'll pick like one of the B or C-listers.
One of the satellite properties.
Kind of take their place. Okay, we can't do X-Men, so here's Mutant X, here's Heroes, here's Alphas. We can't do Batman, so here's Birds of Prey.
Here's Arrow.
Here's Arrow to a degree. Here's the Cape. And now here's Gotham. And of course, with Superman, here's Adventures of Superboy. Here's Lois and Clark. Here's Smallville. And now here's Supergirl. And like a lot of the sort of weird continuity gaffes in this would be totally fixed if this was just a spin-off of an existing Superman show.
Yeah.
But of course, hey, let's not wait around for that. Let's just get to the Supergirl show that we would apparently like to do anyway.
Yeah. One thing somebody pointed out to me, this ties to the last time we saw Supergirl on television, which was on Smallville.
Yeah.
And this is a very different take on her, let's be clear on that. When Supergirl showed up on there, which was season 7 of that show, she showed up and she was actually more powerful than young Clark. She could actually fly while Clark was still struggling with that and that kind of thing. And here she is explicitly still figuring herself out, and you know,
even though she's been on here for a while and has had plenty of time to figure her powers out.
It might just be a matter of here Kara is the main character instead of the supporting character, so she's got to be the underdog. On Smallville, Clark was the main character, so he's the underdog. Yeah. And so there was that contrast. So I think it might just be. I think it's just that. Yeah. She almost took over the show for one season and then showed up sporadically after that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she was on the finale.
So after she saves the plane, her sister's like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. You know, save me and stuff. And I don't know, there's this weird thing of...
Yeah, they struggle to... This is not a conversation that like any story should be struggling with by now. She should have saved the plane. The conversation should have been about, are you prepared for how your life is going to change? Which is sort of in there, but it's very clunky.
It's kind of the even clunkier version of, you know, what was I supposed to do? Just let him die? Maybe.
No.
No. The answer is no. The answer should always be no. Don't let him die. I would love to see a scene where they talk like the way believable humans would talk about this sort of thing, which is an important a distinction to make. When you have an outlandish premise like this, it's important to balance that out with the characters behaving the way that, you know...
Behaving rationally,
behaving the way that realistic humans would behave in the face of these circumstances.
So that's a big thing that this show is going to have to figure out how to do properly.
So, as you go along, you know, she reveals her identity to this guy at work who we've only just met, who I guess by his name is going to become Toyman or something.
Or maybe it's going to be like on Arrow where his dad is going to be Toyman.
Yeah.
I bet it's going to be that. Yeah. But I object to that because that guy should have just been Jimmy. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm generally, in any Superman story, I'm a Jimmy and Kara shipper.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy should have been the love interest in the Supergirl movie they made in the 80s.
It would have been so much easier. And then, Lucy would basically fill the Jimmy role in this little, a triangle of supporting characters.
Yes. It'd be fine.
And then you wouldn't need the hunky gardener guy mucking things up.
Yeah.
So she comes out to this guy, and she says something, I'm going to tell you something that only 3 people in my life know. So that would be her sister, one of the Danvers, and Clark, and I feel like there's actually more people there. But it's definitely not 3.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think this show is bad at math.
Unless Superman doesn't count.
Yeah, that's the other thing on this show. You've got Superman sort of in the background, which might cripple this show, honestly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think that is a huge misstep. They said that we're not ever really going to see Superman. I'm pretty sure they haven't even cast him.
Yeah.
To actually appear, where we actually get to see him and he actually gets to have a scene, and I think that's a huge mistake. Superman should be on this show. He should be in her life. He should be mentoring her and training her to use her powers and
exactly
telling her the finer points of how to maintain a secret identity and how to use her different powers in inventive combinations and everything, and the different finer points of being somebody this powerful and being a hero and that kind of moral burden.
Yeah, and it would be new and interesting to see Superman in that role.
Now, I think there is an anxiety that if we have Superman, that Supergirl's status as the main character on the show is so fragile that if we feature Superman on there even once, people are going to be wondering, why aren't we watching his show? And I'm like, because we're not, okay? I mean, you watch Young Justice.
Young Justice.
Yes.
Doing it right.
Young Justice, one of the best superhero animated shows ever. The main characters on the show were the sidekicks, Robin and Aqualad and, Kid Flash and the rest of that team of young heroes who were being mentored by the older heroes. The older heroes, like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and the rest of that gang, were on the show all the time. They were in the background, but they appeared. They interacted with our young group.
It was always clear
that
the young heroes are the main characters of this show and the ones really driving the story.
And we do get a sense that way of how this world of superheroes functions.
Yeah.
And how, the organization of, of the older heroes training the younger heroes. And, Black Canary's going to be in charge of training. Red Canary's going to be in charge of security. I'm going to be in charge of sending you on missions. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
And it's and it's really interesting. And I think if they actually had Superman, if they put a benchmark and said, Superman is only going to be on 5 episodes in the season. One of those would be the premiere, probably one of them would be the finale in any given season.
Exactly. Then you have maybe 3 in between. Yeah.
And that's it. The rest of it is going to be all about Kara. If we were reading a Supergirl comic, Superman would show up sometimes.
Yes.
But she would still be the main character. Now, of course, Superman would have his own title. But, this is TV and sometimes the logistics are different.
Yeah,
and I think not having Superman on the show really does cripple it and, just put a weight around the show. And we're wondering, when is he going to show up? Why doesn't he show up? Why is this only Kara's problem? Why doesn't she call, her cousin, for help, for guidance, for any reason?
On Flash and Arrow, with Flash, it doesn't lean on Arrow a ton. It does kind of get the ball rolling, but ultimately there is a clear sense of how The Flash would function as a show if it had not spun off from Green Arrow.
Yeah.
And, but, occasionally those characters show up because they do exist in the same world.
Yeah, and
it would be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, and the stuff where they interact is really good stuff.
Yeah. Some of the best stuff on that show. We get to see a different side of these characters sometimes.
Yeah, on both of their most recent finales, when Flash needed help with a bad guy, he called on Arrow and also Firestorm, who'd shown up.
Yeah.
Over on Arrow, when he needed help, he called Flash.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I think this show is being made by the same production company as those, but they're not in the same universe because that just wouldn't work. The idea that while Oliver Queen has been trying to save his city and the Flash has been fighting the Reverse Flash this whole time, Superman has been around 3 towns over this whole time saving the world, doesn't really work.
Yeah.
I think there was one casual reference to Superman on Arrow one time a long time ago, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how they would be able to like acknowledge Superman on those shows, because they wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, he's kind of been around." No, he hasn't been around the whole time.
Yeah,
and the day that he shows up is a historical event.
Yeah,
in a way that the Arrow and the Flash just will never be able to quite match.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so we got a scene that comes up a lot, which is the trying to figure out the costume scene. I've heard complaints about this as, oh yeah, we're making a girl superhero show, so we got to have her trying on outfits.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I like this scene anyway. For one, I mean, going way back in time, Lois and Clark had a scene like this too, and this one is much better paced than that one. I think it's they.
She's still not sure if she's still bulletproof, which doesn't make sense. So like, okay, I'll just walk into gunfire to make sure, because that's totally safe.
Like, I think in that case would be to like do like on No Ordinary Family and actually get a gun and tell your friend, can you shoot me, to make sure, like, just the one.
Yeah.
Then then if it doesn't work out, then you only have one bullet in you to deal with.
I do like the costume. I do like how it's got it went with kind of the classic look, didn't try to make it more grounded or anything like that.
You got the skirt and the cape.
Yeah, it's all there. And then we had this whole thing of her sister is working for this secret agency that monitors bad guy aliens, and they abduct her with kryptonite to, I don't know.
Well, it's a good thing they were the good guys.
Yeah. But then we bring in Hank Henshaw, who's a supervillain in the comics, and we'll probably wind up saying thing here. I remember, like, there was some kind of discussion going around about how it's a race lift, which I don't think it really is. I mean, like, maybe Hank Henshaw was white way back when, but the cyborg Superman is not white. He is a cyborg.
Yeah. He's a cyborg, and
he's only white because Superman is white.
Yeah,
so
and he's got, the portion of his face that is fleshy is deliberately supposed to look like Superman.
So the race of the guy playing Henshaw literally does not matter.
Yeah. So it's fine.
Yeah.
So quit complaining, you idiots.
We're gonna complain about Henshaw, complain about his character not making sense.
Yeah.
He's just kind of there to be an asshole to Kara.
Yeah, basically, like, he's a military guy. He should be a consummate professional who is concerned with, doing the job, which is, saving the world from these, from the bad aliens.
Yeah.
But he's basically spends every scene just putting Kara down for reasons that had nothing to do with that job.
Yeah. And it's just as clunky as anything else in the pilot. She's supposed to, spend time, bruising Kara's ego as part of her character growth. But it doesn't feel the least bit organic. Yeah, you've got this superpowered alien who's willing to work with you, and you're putting her down because what? She's inexperienced.
Because she's a girl.
Because I don't know.
I think it actually is because she's a girl.
Yeah,
that seems to be how they play it.
Yeah. So then we got this thing of like, okay, she escaped from the Phantom Zone, and then this bunch of criminal bad guys also escaped at the same time.
And this is another thing we mentioned earlier. Why is this only Kara's problem?
Yeah, and also why is this happening now? It's kind of like in the TMNT animated movie.
Yeah.
Where there's all these monsters running around, but we're only just now learning about them because according to what's laid out in the prologue, they've been around for like thousands of years.
Like, shouldn't something have woken them up? Like, just now, and that's why this is suddenly a problem? No.
She didn't even know about these guys until the secret agency told her about them.
Yeah.
And if
she probably doesn't she probably doesn't remember wandering through the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. And if there was such a problem, why didn't they bring her in ages ago?
Why didn't they bring Superman in ages ago?
Why didn't they bring Superman in?
Yeah.
If, he would certainly be willing to deal with this.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If they could have Superman have some kind of presence on the show, not just as a mysterious, faceless figure, but just be on the show, then we could create some kind of context for, how the for how this world works. But if they don't want to cover that, then that's going to continue to be a problem. Now, the biggest issue with the pilot, I think, the biggest is it obviously has good intentions with featuring, okay, let's do, a female superhero show based on the comics because, nobody else is doing that. But, count up how many times they try to pat themselves on the back for how awesome they are for doing that, for how, featuring these characters. There's one point where our villain of the week passes this random woman in a diner who's watching TV and Supergirl's on the news and says, "Oh yeah, a female superhero. That's somebody from my daughter look up to." And I'm like, shut up. The best thing to do is just do it and not comment on it. And then the other scene is we have here with after now that
#Supergirl.
Yeah, #Supergirl. Now that she's in the news and just like Jameson in Spider-Man, it is Kat who gives her the name Supergirl, not Superwoman, which is what I guess Kara was expecting. And she, and Kara kind of, sputters and, struggles to say, isn't this like anti-feminist? It's not quite as positive as it thinks it is. And and it rings some kind of false feminism.
Yeah.
Like, aren't we awesome for doing this?
Yeah, or awesome for having this conversation. But, for one thing, you got Kara, who is technically a woman, so she does have a reason to complain about this. And Kat is, once again, somebody who is just kind of exists to disagree with her.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of people do on the show, is just to disagree with Kara because somebody has to.
Oh, yeah.
The false feminism.
And then I'm the bad guy of the week.
Oh, yes.
Make some crack at Kara about, my world, women serve men or some shit. I really wish that some crack like, you came to the wrong place.
It's like, oh, you're one of those. Well, this is going to be more fun than I thought. Yeah, something like that.
That kind of thing, yeah. Now, another thing that I do like about this portrayal of Supergirl is that she is very girly. That goes along with being very capable and kicking butt and stuff, which is often paired up. But, this is obviously not the first show to do that. Even Buffy the Vampire Slayer did that.
Yeah.
And probably the most stark example is Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
They get to save the world and be pretty.
This is like one show whose approach I liked that I wish this show would emulate would be Veronica Mars, who, she goes around, she has to deal with people not having faith in her because she's a girl, but she always, does her job. She always does the detective stuff, and she does it very well and doesn't worry, and, just tries to let herself worry about that. And then, of course, more recently is, the best example of all is Agent Carter.
Yeah, exactly. And, with this show coming out in a world where we have Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we've had Buffy and Xena and other shows like that, let's stop pretending that this is 1995 and we're the first ones to think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's a scene where, sister's standing outside and telling her how important it is to keep her secret while she's shouting about it in the hall where anybody can hear her.
Yeah. At least do it with, proper phrasing. Just do it in a way that makes it sound like you're talking to a normal human.
Yeah. She's got a message from her mom.
Yeah.
That she's only just now showing her.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of on Gotham and in a lot of Batman versions, but whenever he talks about his parents, he mostly talks about his dad.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Gotham where where little Bruce is looking at a picture of him with his dad, and when he talks about whatever the secret says company, it's his dad's company.
Yeah.
And his mom, who was also killed right in front of him, barely even qualifies a mention. Which is one of the great things about Batman Earth 1, where she gets more of a layered backstory coming from the Arkham family.
Yeah. Wish they could have folded that onto Gotham. How about that?
Yeah, totally. Come on. What do we have to look forward to, you think?
Not seeing Superman, I guess. Yeah. Whenever there's a thing on my Facebook feed saying, what characters would you like to see show up on Supergirl, my answer is always the same. I want to see Superman on this show.
Yeah.
The people working on the show think that it will wreck the show, and I think that they're wrong.
Yeah. I think that not having him on there will wreck the show.
Yeah.
We're going to see some of the B-list Superman villains like Livewire and, I don't know, I guess eventually Toyman
and Cyborg Superman,
Cyborg Superman and stuff.
And also, I'll bet you Silver Banshee is going to be on here because that's a female Superman villain.
Yeah.
They haven't mentioned her, but I mean, even Silver Banshee was on Smallville, so
yeah, totally.
Whatever.
And they just made her look like she does in the comic. But
if they start doing apocalypse stories like they did on Smallville, they can feature Granny and the Furies. What male Superman characters could show up? Do you think?
I don't know. I know that they're not going to show Lex because they're not showing Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, Lex could be dead or in jail by this point.
Yeah.
And certainly not Lois either, which. They
aren't going to feature Lucy, though.
Okay, Lucy, fine. If she was in the movie, and she was underutilized there.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
You mean she was in Supergirl?
Yeah.
Okay, that part I remember. I thought you meant Man of Steel.
No.
You're not going to have Lucy in Man of Steel. Get out of here. Come on, we got an origin to cover. We don't need distractions. In the end scene, it's revealed that the one orchestrating this whole thing is Lara.
No.
Is it Lara or is it Allura?
It's Allura's sister, I think, but she's played by the same actress.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that was ever. I was ever quite clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Allura's twin sister apparently. I forgot her name. And then she says her last line is, nobody can interfere with this, not even my niece. And I'm like, or your, nephew, who's also on this planet. Yeah. Superman isn't off-world or anything.
Yeah.
He's just not involved with this story. But if you're going to, take over the planet, I mean, Kara isn't the first one you need to worry about.
Yeah. But I'm really sick of the pilot, to be honest. It's not one of those pilots that I think is
It's not good.
It's not good. It's not...
It could lead to a good show. I mean, look, when Arrow started, it had a lot of problems. But the show... feverishly worked through those problems and got better.
Exactly.
And I hope that this show gets better because we don't need another... Not only do we not need another bad superhero show, we don't need another bad superhero show that was adapted from the actual comics.
Yeah.
We don't need another bad version of Supergirl, you know?
And so, but I feel like the pilot is something that the show is going to have to live down rather than pay off.
Yeah.
Unlike Flash and Arrow in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So let's hope those promising elements come to the fore. That's all I can say.
Here's to a better show down the road.
Yeah, and more podcasts because we're not going to wait a couple months for the next one.
Yeah.
I promise. All right, so we'll see you next time. Good night.